What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. Today will not be like a typical little podcast video. Today, the NBA trade deadline has just finished. It has just closed out, and it wasn't as interesting and as busy as we've previously seen in the past couple years. But definitely, there was some big moves to be made for sure. Obviously, my Los Angeles Lakers decided not to make any trades and go after anybody. The DeJounte Murray stayed home. Zach LaVine, obviously getting injured, comes out of discussion. Bruce Brown stays in Toronto. So there were a couple teams who weren't active at all. I mean, I just listened to Kenny Beecham talk about how disappointed he was about his Chicago Bulls not making any moves. I mean, sitting here with important, crucial pieces, players that can go out there and really go on a contending team and go be a winner. I mean, you have Alex Caruso, one of the best perimeter defenders, and who's actually trying to score the ball this year, and and so you have pieces like this. You have Andre Drummond, who he spoke about as well, who's been doing a great job coming off the bench and being a backup center. And you have teams like this in that situation. I really do feel for them because you're in this situation where you have the opportunity to trade away some players for some draft capital, for some young pieces, to help yourself push yourself in the direction going forward, because obviously they are far from contention. He knows that. The Chicago Bulls franchise knows that. So I understand where the frustration comes from. But obviously not moving off of DeMar DeRozan, who will become a free agent this upcoming offseason, right? And then you have Vucevic. You have these guys and Alex Caruso, like I've spoken of. And then you have someone like Kobe White, who's coming up and who's just been balling out as of late. Young players that you could build around and then start building pieces around them, bringing in new pieces, getting draft capital. So it's unfortunate to see those teams who didn't make moves. But I mean, obviously, got to give a big shout out to the New York Knicks. They were active. They were out here. They were moving. They were getting pieces, and obviously took two of the best players away from my Detroit Pistons. For those of you who don't know, the Detroit Pistons are my number 2 team. They're a young team. I just love who they got there, and I'm a big fan of them, and I hope to see them be successful in the near future. I'm a big Cade Cunningham fan, so I do rep Detroit and watch them as much as humanly possible. But listen, what the New York Knicks did today, they went out there and they really replenish their depth. Obviously, trading away Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett, and with the injury to Julius Randle, they were definitely missing some offensive firepower, and that's exactly what they did, and were able to figure it out. And they added some pieces, getting Bogdanovic, who's been an absolute bucket getter this year for Detroit. Obviously, it's gone a little bit unnoticed because of how poor they have been this year. But I mean, if you put him into that lineup, into that New York Knicks team with Julius Randle missing time, he could slide straight in there, be your starting forward. As soon as Julius Randle gets back, he can then become a 6th man on that team, and he can easily be one of the best 6 men in the league. So I'm excited for him to go out to get into another contending team. Obviously, previously with the Utah Jazz, that was the last team where he was really playing for something other than a new contract and some just personal accolades. And obviously adding Alec Burks, Alec Burks shooting 40.3% from threes over his last 4.5 years in the league. I mean, he's just a great piece as well. You have seen him time and time again just come off the bench and just shoot lights out from 3 and help the Detroit Pistons stay into a lot of these games. He just dropped a 40-piece a couple weeks ago. So, this is, again, reunited in New York with the New York Knicks, and I think this is 2 great additions for the New York Knicks team. I mean, you're getting a yes, you did give up, who did they, not Trent McBride. Sorry, I am absolutely blanking right now. Obviously, giving up Quentin Grimes does hurt for the that youth, that players you could build around, but it was well worth it, especially if you, as the New York Knicks, you want to make a deep playoff run. You want to make an Eastern Conference Finals push. You want to be that team to be known contending. You brought in OG Anunoby, which 14-1 since OG has been traded, that trade has just looked phenomenal, right? OG Anunoby has just been doing a great job. He's helped on them on the defensive end of things the most to me, and he's capable of scoring as well. But I mean, giving up Quentin Grimes and a couple 2nd-round picks, I think is just a great thing for this New York Knicks team. It gives you 2 more people who can score on their own and do it off the bench. And that's exactly what they needed. They just needed some more from their bench. They just got deeper in this. They just got deeper on the bench, and I think they are going to be playing 2 crucial roles going forward into the 2024 playoffs, right? And another big trade I did want to talk about, Gordon Hayward, someone who's been playing very phenomenal this year, has been great. Again, another player who has just been unnoticed, right? Just because of how poorly his team overall in Charlotte has been playing, they moved off of him and traded him to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So again, I think that's a great spot for him to be in and for OKC to pick up. Yes, they're still going to be small. I maybe would have liked them maybe go try to trade for a backup center, someone like Andre Drummond, someone like even Robin Lopez, just someone who's going to, Daniel Gafford, right? Someone who's going to give you that off the bench center minutes and just help give you a little bit more size when, Chet's not in the game and with your smaller lineup that you typically have. But again, I think this is a great spot for Gordon Hayward to be in. You get put on from one of the worst teams in the league to one of the best teams in the league. You're more than capable of scoring, and now you can go into this team and be a number three option, maybe even number 4, depending on how they use them and how things go forward. Because obviously we know Chet is the number 2 guy on that team and has been playing phenomenal. Shai's obviously the undisputed number 1 on that team, but he could definitely go in there, be the number 3, number 4 scorer and just give you buckets when you need it. And I think this is a great addition, just giving you another guy who can go out there and you can trust to knock down shots when you need them. I'm going to assume he's going to be coming off the bench just because I'm not sure how that will mesh with J-Dub coming in there. Maybe they start J-Dub and Hayward both, at the 3 and the 4, and then obviously you got Chet at the 5. So definitely interesting to see how that plays out. But again, I'm very excited for this Oklahoma City Thunder team. I think this was a great trade to make without having to give up any of your key pieces for the future and this team that you've built, this young, talented team that you built. So again, this Oklahoma City Thunder team is going to look very impressive. And then again, talking about my Detroit Pistons, right? They have made multiple trades this trade deadline, and I think it has been great. All year long, I've been watching the Detroit Pistons play. Cade Cunningham has some of the worst spacing in the NBA. If you watch these games, he literally, early in the year especially, was just getting 2 bodies, 3 bodies thrown at him every single time he got the ball, and it just became very hard. And Cade Cunningham is a great playmaker. He is more than capable of being a great playmaker, but when you are just, you have to put up shots and tough shots because, there's not much scoring on that Detroit Pistons teams, right? And he's more than capable of scoring. I don't think that is the issue. I think spacing was the main issue. But, you go out here, you trade Simone Fontecchio. I think I pronounced that right, from the Utah Jazz, who's shooting 39% from 3. Again, another great addition. And then they also traded for Troy Brown and Shake Milton and a second to the Minnesota Timberwolves, again, for Monte Morris. Again, 2 additions that I really think will help this team and just help spread out the spacing, right? The more space you give Cade Cunningham, the more chance you have to see what he's really capable of doing. And I think that's all you really need. I think Cade Cunningham is going to be a great player in the NBA and hopefully is going to be an all-star in this league for the years to come. Again, he does need spacing. That's exactly what they got for him. So I'm excited to see that going forward because Troy Brown, again, another guy who I've seen him when he played on the Lakers. I thought he was a great player. Obviously struggles hitting down shots. He's really hit or miss. But again, he's going to give you that role player 3-and-D position type guy that you need. And again, with Simone Fontecchio, again, another great addition. Shooting 39% from 3. He's just going to help the spacing out. Yes, you lose Bogdanovic. Yes, you lose Alec Burks, right? Alec Burks. So you're going to be missing 2 scorers. But, we've seen Jaden Ivey as of late been playing phenomenal. You've seen Jalen Duren been doing his thing. So now I think this gives an opportunity for these younger players to step in and, really get some reps and see what they are capable of going forward. And again, I'm so excited for the Detroit Pistons because this is something that needed to be done. They finally started trading for some veteran role player pieces, and I think it's going to turn out great. And I can't be more excited for Cade Cunningham in particular because of the lack of support that he's really had so far in his career. The Dallas Mavericks were also another team active at the deadline. 3 trades made this afternoon. Daniel Gafford to the Mavericks for Rashawn Holmes and future first rounder to the Wizards, right? And then you also they traded Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and a 2027 first round pick to the Charlotte Hornets in return for PJ Washington, and 2 second-round picks. Again, PJ Washington is a 37.5% three-point shooter in his career. I think you added another shooter, another reliable shooter around Luka Doncic. You give him better spacing, right? Grant Williams was just not knocking down the shots he needed to do. And again, sending someone like Grant Williams to the Hornets gives you a little bit of a veteran player. He's been to the finals. When he's able to shoot, you want him to be more consistent with that three ball. But you give yourself someone like Seth Curry who can knock down shots to give LaMelo Ball some spacing. If he does get in, you get another first-round pick to build around, right? You've seen Brandon Miller dominate this entire year. So again, this looks like a great trade for both teams. You get some more draft capital, you get a veteran, you get a couple veterans, and PJ Washington now goes to help out Luka Doncic and Kyrie in Dallas. I think this is a great trade for what they needed. And then they also bring in Daniel Gafford, right? You get in another center, another reliable backup center, or if he starts over Derek Lively. Again, Derek Lively's been doing a phenomenal job, but you get another backup center into that position, someone who can come off the bench and give you those minutes. And then again, PJ Washington, like I said, can already give you that spot up shooting that you need. And it just helps the spacing, someone who can knock down those shots and who's not going to be asked to do anything more than that, right? So again, he just plays perfectly for what Luka and the Mavericks truly need, right? And then Daniel Gafford, again, giving you that bench center minutes or however that's going to work, but another center into the lineup to give you that bench minutes. Someone's obviously going to have to go on the bench, so one of the two, Lively or I'm blanking right now. Daniel Gafford will get those minutes. But another team I did want to speak about is obviously the Philadelphia 76ers. They were a little active today at the deadline, trading away Buddy Hield for Marcus Morris, Furkan Korkmaz, and 3 second-round picks to the Indiana Pacers. Again, this is not something I was very happy about because of the fact that the Los Angeles Lakers obviously made a proposal or was in the talks of making a trade. And the trade came down to, and let me pull it up on my phone. We're going to pull it up live right here as I am recording to make sure the trade is spot on accurate. But from some of the sources that I was hearing and some of the stuff I was hearing was that were offered Buddy Hield for Gabe Vincent, Jackson Hayes, and 3 to 4 second-round picks. And if that is true, I mean, I am just absolutely outrageous just because the fact that we needed shooting so bad. We needed someone we could rely on to shoot these spot-up threes and who's going to, Buddy Hield, we know what he's done and how valuable he is on a contending team in the league. He just shoots the heck out of the ball, and it's exactly what we needed. Someone, a 3-and-D guy who can do that, who can play alongside LeBron, and he can definitely do that. I know LeBron would love to have a little bit better spacing with someone like that out there. Again, so it's unfortunate we didn't make a move for something like that for someone like Buddy Hield, right? I would have preferred to like that. But again, I do hear that we are going to be active in the buyout market after hearing that Spencer Dinwiddie was traded to the Raptors and is supposed to be getting bought out. And again, Schroeder got traded to the Nets. Another situation where two people could possibly get bought out right now. It has definitely been interesting, this trade deadline. Again, the Boston Celtics, another team who made a move to get a backup big. Xavier Tillman comes to the Celtics for 2 second-round picks and Lamar Stevens. Again, they're just trying to add to their depth, trading away all their draft capital, trying to invest in this championship run this year, right? And they need another backup center, and they did that, right? They got another big body, Xavier Tillman, who did a phenomenal job in absence of Xavier Tillman did a phenomenal job coming in for the place of Steven Adams. We've seen it in the playoffs last year against my Lakers. We've seen it this year and since he's been gone. Obviously, it was a difficult situation in Memphis. So now Memphis is here. He's just stocking up draft capital and trying to invest in their future. As soon as John Morant, Desmond Bane, and these guys finally get healthy, you can finally start fresh and brand new next year. And the Toronto Raptors obviously made another key trade. This was a solid trade for the Raptors. You get a young piece in someone like Ochai Agbaji. Sorry if I'm butchering his name. But Kelly Olynyk and Ochai to the Raptors for Kerry Lewis, Otto Porter, and a 2024 first-round pick. And then other than that, I mean, listen, the Suns were active as well, picking up Royce O'Neal and David Roddy to the Suns, getting rid of 3 second-round picks and Watanabe to the Grizzlies. And again, another player, Yuta Watanabe, is also another person who's been talked about being bought out and another target for the Los Angeles Lakers in the future. So we will definitely be paying close attention to all these possible buyout players. Again, this trade deadline was not as interesting as the last. I mean, last year we had about 25 trades go off in the last hour and a half of the trade deadline, so it was very interesting to see. Definitely wild, because that was probably the first trade deadline that I was just at the wire every second of the day, and the days leading up to it I was constantly on my phone checking Twitter, and it's definitely fun. I mean, to see things like this pop off, and to see how teams make moves, to whether they're taking a step back on the win now situation, or adding another piece to contend, or win more games, and or trade for somebody who's they're trying to build around and things like that. So it's definitely interesting. Obviously, it's not as intense as the NFL trade deadline, but again, it's definitely been fun paying attention to all these certain things. And again, I'm so looking forward to the New York Knicks going forward. I mean, they have just continued to add great pieces and build the team the right way with excellent spacing, which is just great for Jalen Brunson, So again, and also the Detroit Pistons, like I've been constantly talking about, I would love to see them win, and I think the additions they have made are going to do that. They didn't invest in a superstar or a elite scorer. You invested in some role players to help build along Cade and make Cade's floor spacing better, and to give Cade a better opportunity to be successful, right? And I think that's the best thing you could have done, because again, there's nothing more I would like to see than Cade Cunningham succeed in the league at a high level, right? And I do have high hopes and high expectations for him. I think he's more than capable of being an elite scorer, an elite playmaker in this league. But again, let me know what y'all think. It's going to be a short video. It was a short video. Let me know what y'all think about the NBA trade deadline, how your team turned out, what your trade your teams made, and if your teams didn't make a trade, why? Who would you like have seen come along, or anything like that? And with that being said, see ya.